Guy with the folding sunglasses, here is weekend daytime host, Mr. Ben Mankiewicz.
Our very own Thomas Crowd. That's what I've been saying. I was just backstage with the guest of honor tonight, Norman Jewison, and who directed this film. I asked him, how many, off the top of your head, without, thinking too much, how many of your actors in your films do you think have been nominated for an Academy Award for their performance? And he was like, oh, I don't know, I've had a few. 4 or 5, he said, I think. The answer is 12. And it's 12 because he is one of the great directors of his generation. Ladies and gentlemen, Norman Jewison. By the way, I did that research to come up with 12 in like 8 minutes, mostly on Wikipedia. So there might be more. Or it might not even be true. A couple of ways to go there. Let me start by this is 1968 for this film. Like, where were you in your career at the time? What had you done, and just sort of what was happening in your life in '68?
Well, it was a moment when I was trying to get myself established into serious filmmaking, because I spent so many years at Universal doing Doris Day movies and the whole thing, and everybody was. Thank you, but
You started off with like 4 light comedies.
Yeah, 4 light comedies. So everybody was saying, "Well, this guy makes comedies, and everybody's happy. He goes to the seashore." So I had the opportunity to make Cincinnati Kid, and because Sam Peckinpah got fired.
Yes.
And somebody called me the next day and said, Sam Peckinpah just got fired of the Cincinnati Kid, and we would like to suggest to Marty Ransoff that you could do it. And I said, well, wait a minute, let me read the book. So it was from a very slim book. I read the book, then I read the script, and it was kind of a turgid, melodramatic, I thought, script. I said, it needs some lightness. It needs some humor. It needs some color. I'll do it if we can get Steve McQueen to play the Cincinnati Kid.
So I like that all of a sudden, first of all, I like the idea that Sam Peckinpah gets fired and you come in and bring in the guy who had done the Doris Day movies. Which makes me also wonder, what about the other way around? What if you'd gotten fired from one of the Doris Day movies and they're like, let's get Peckinpah.
Well, I mean, there was some footage that I looked at. And it was pretty weird. First of all, he wanted to do it in black and white. And I said, well, why would he want to do the film in black and white? Cards are red and black. I mean, aces and diamonds are red, and clubs are... How the hell are you going to tell who's got what?
Quickly, because you don't want to dwell on the cards too much, but you want people to know rapidly what's in the head.
Yes. How could you shoot a card game in black and white? Everything will be great. So that I couldn't understand. And I think it was because it was in period. And we're going back to the 30s, I think. It was kind of set, end of the 30s. So I said, I got to shoot the film in color. And then there were other things that I felt that the script didn't have. So I brought in, it was amazing, I brought in a couple of other writers. And that's when things started to cook. But getting back to Thomas Crown, when the script for Thomas Crown went to my agents at William Morris, Stan Kamen read the script, and he said, "This is a wonderful, intriguing script. I mean, it's a guy who thinks he's smarter than everybody else." I said, "Yes, Thomas Crown is smarter than everybody else." And let me get this straight. Everybody in this script that robs the bank, they don't know each other? I said, "That's right, they don't know each other. And they don't know him. So how can he ever be involved?" He said, "That's smart. That's really good. I don't think that's ever been done." I said, "I guess not." But I said, you know, it was written by a guy in Boston who was a lawyer. And he had seen, he was fascinated with stars. And he wrote this little brief.
He was a practicing lawyer, Alan Trustman. He was not a
Alan
screenwriter.
Trustman was a lawyer. And he wrote this short thing, so he sent it to me. But it was like a long letter. I mean, it was like a lawyer's brief saying, Thomas Crown is a graduate of Dartmouth, and he lives in this townhouse in Boston. I mean, it wasn't a script. So I said, "I'll come to Boston and meet with you." Went to Boston, met with him, and I was in the hotel for 4 days, and we sat, literally wrote the script. I mean, sat there and told him, no, this is the way you do it. Open here, page 1, thing, and had to kind of bring him into the form of a screenplay. Anyway, then I went to my agent, Stan Kamen, and I said, "You know, Steve and I got along pretty good on Cincinnati Kid. Maybe we should send him this."
It wasn't the kind of role McQueen had done. McQueen had never worn a three-piece suit and a vest all buttoned up.
He was always on a motorcycle.
Right.
And he was always in jeans and an open neck shirt. And, he was always with machines. And I never saw him in a beautiful three-button suit.
As an investment banker. Steve McQueen, investment banker.
Right. And graduate of Dartmouth.
Dartmouth, please. Yeah, come on.
You know, Steve McQueen went to Boys Town.
Right. He beat up guys from Dartmouth.
He never got out of high school. And you know, Steve was so far away from this character that I thought, this is ridiculous. I don't know why. I said, but it's fascinating because no one's ever seen him dressed up.
Let me ask you about a couple things about McQueen, and obviously I want to talk about the most famous scene in this picture, and I know people are anxious to hear about that. But the McQueen, when you worked with him on Cincinnati Kid in 1965, first of all, I love that you say, "Get me Steve McQueen." Who are you? But nonetheless, that's why you're you. I don't think it occurred to you to be afraid to ask, based on what I know about you. But McQueen was a difficult guy for some directors, and you were so young. Were you older than he was, or basically the same age at the time?
I was roughly the same age.
He responded to directors like John Sturges, guys who were much older. How did you manage to sort of develop a positive working relationship with a guy as mercurial as McQueen?
Well, you put your finger on I think what was the problem with our relationship. Steve didn't have a father for many, many years. I mean, I don't know whether we ever knew who his father was. And he had grown up with his mother, and then he got into trouble, and then he ended up in Boys Town, and all of that, and he was on his own. And so when he worked with the older director, he felt more comfortable because they didn't.
They filled the role.
Hey, go over and get on a horse.
Right.
You know, don't. Well, how am I supposed to react? Never mind about that. Just get on the horse. So they were like a father, just telling him what to do, and he felt comfortable, I think. So I told him, I said, I can't be your father, because that's who you're looking for. And he said, don't twist my melon, man. Twist your melon? He was so hip, I didn't even understand what he was saying.
That doesn't even sound, if that had been written in one of your scripts, you'd be like, no, change it, it's too much.
Anyway, it was, you know, he was on, I just never understood a lot of what Steve was saying. And I said, wait a minute. I said, I can't be your father, and that's who you're looking for, whether you know it or not. But I can be your older brother, the one who went to college.
The Canadian older brother who went to college.
Who went to college, and I'm going to look out for you. And I'll always look out for you. And I'll always be there for you. So that's the way we can build our relationship. Because you can do things I can't do. You can take that Volkswagen engine, take it apart and put it together again on the lawn. I can't do that. I can't fix a motorcycle. I can't even ride a motorcycle. I said, but I'll look out for you. And so that was...
and that worked.
Yeah, and you know something? He said, well, I've never done a role like this where I'm playing what do you call him, a Boston Brahmin?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I said, that's right, you're a Boston Brahmin. You're from a very old, aristocratic family, very well bred. As a matter of fact, you're a
Dartmouth boy.
Yeah, you're a graduate of Dartmouth. You got Phi Beta Kappa key. He said, what's that? So I showed him a Phi Beta Kappa key and a gold chain. I said, you're going to wear that, and you can just rub it once in a while. Because that means you're very smart. And so he liked all that stuff. He loved little things.
It's remarkable that this movie, very clearly, The Thomas Crown Affair, comes across as a sort of 1968. Movies have been changing for a couple of years. This is definitely an anti-establishment picture, where the hero is an incredibly rich guy who wants to get richer, and yet somehow it's an anti-establishment film, which is remarkable. And an achievement on your part and Alan's. How did that come about? How did it...
Well, I think the anti-establishment aspect of the film is embodied in the fact that it works. That this is a brilliant. It's a brilliant escapade, and it's about control. It's about people who have money don't just want more money. They want to do something wonderful, like rob a bank, and nobody knows who did it. I mean, that would be something extraordinary. And especially for people who like taking chances. He also flies gliders. So only crazy people fly gliders. I mean,
That's what my mother says.
you gotta be pretty. I mean, you go up there without an engine. They take you up 10,000 feet and
Let you go.
let you go.
That's crazy talk.
And so.
You're twisting my melon, man.
It's really kind of a wild experience. And I said, you know, you like to fly glider, you like to take chances. I said, why don't you let me put you on dress you up? Let's start there. Let's do the English approach to acting, outside in. He said, what? And so we started, and you know, I put him in a $2,500 suit, and he looked fantastic. Put him in a tie. He'd never worn a tie. You know, and even when Steve McQueen wore a tie, I mean, he just looked wonderful. And I think he liked.
Let me ask you, because we don't have a lot of time, and there's another sort of, in a sense, well, surprising hero, not so much an anti-hero, but a surprising hero that you bring in Faye Dunaway, who's just as smart, playing the insurance investigator, sort of, and she, you know, she's like a female James Bond, a little bit, in a sense, in this picture. But I know there's a lot, you got a lot of split screens in the movie, a lot of really innovative shots, but one scene, the kiss, which everybody talks about, it's like 5 minutes long on screen. They play chess, they kiss. It took days and days and days to shoot, correct?
Well, it took about 3 days. They were kissing for 2 or 3 days. I think, you know, in the script it said, she looks around his apartment. She looks at the chess set. She looks at him. He looks at her. She reaches out and touches one. He said, do you play? She said, try me. What ensues is chess with sex. Now, if you've ever tried to shift...
I like people applauding chess with sex. What could you possibly be applauding? I can't do either.
If you've ever tried to make chess an exciting experience, it's not a cinematic game.
No.
Now, so I was really struggling with it. So I created a kind of a storyboard. And I thought, she's going to flirt with him and try to put him off his game. Because chess essentially is a mind game. And so they're always attacking. Because it's a very aggressive, killer game. And unless you want to really destroy the person you're playing with, it doesn't really work. And so it's very intense. And what ensues was chess with sex. And when it finishes, and he realizes he's been checkmated, and his queen is exposed, he gets up. He gets up and straightens his, he straightened his, I remember him straightening his vest or something. And he turns and he looks at her. This has never happened to him before. He's not only been checkmated, he's not only been beaten, but by a woman. And he looks at her, and he grabs her, and he says, let's play something else. And I thought, that's a real Steve McQueen. So now he's back being Steve McQueen for a moment. And what ensues is a wonderful kiss.
There's not a woman in the country who doesn't love that song. and Faye Dunaway writes that every man she's ever cared about, every man who's ever cared about her, very quickly into whatever they have together, they start talking about that scene and to them, and that they love the Thomas Crown affair. Not surprisingly, so does everybody here. Norman Jewison, thank you very much. So much fun, everybody.